don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is a show by the people, for the people, and you, my friends, are my people. The more interaction we see from you, the better we like it, because you're the reason we do this program. So jump in, join our community, and be a part of things, won't you? In today's episode, Draymond Green basically says the NBA sucks, and CBS News thinks that the problem with the Nazi Holocaust was too much free speech. Apparently, you can't even make it up. Guys, we're going to get to that and a lot more in today's program, but let's begin with the United States and Canada having a dust-up north of the border on Saturday night. 3 fights in the first 9 seconds as Team USA prevails over Canada 3-1. They booed our national anthem again, my friends. I love the people of Canada. The people of Canada have adopted me and Super 70 Sports, and I got nothing but respect for my Canadian brethren. But what's up with booing our national anthem? The United States taking exception to that, and the gloves came off immediately, 1 second into the game, and then there was another fight a second after that. The third fight, for some reason, they were getting lazy. It took them 7 seconds to get to the third fight, but 3 fights in the first 9 seconds, the United States prevailing. Take a look at this. One of the most meaningful wins in hockey for this country ever, at the Four Nations face-off at the Bell Center in Montreal, Canada. Our anthem was disrespected. A lot of people saying that we were getting trash talked and put down by at least a certain segment of Canadian hockey fans. We walked into Montreal and we kicked their asses. Let's just be honest about it. USA, USA. Let's go, in fact, to the USA team after victory in the locker room, celebrating American style.
Oh, Mama, don't you cry! Oh, Mama, don't you cry! USA Hockey is do or die! USA Hockey is do or die! Put a hockey stick in my hand! Put a hockey stick in my hand! Send me off to a foreign land! Send me off to a foreign land! Carl said I'd be a star! Carl said I'd be a star! Then I'd go very far! Then I'd go very far! Pour Gatorade in my glass! Pour Gatorade in my glass! We just kicked her ass! We just kicked her.
Well, the Miracle on Ice was pretty fucking great, but I don't remember him doing that afterwards. This is, is this the biggest American hockey win since the Miracle on Ice? It feels that way emotionally, at least, with everything that's going back and forth, with the tensions that the United States has had with Canada recently, the issues between Donald Trump and Justin Trudeau, spilling over onto the ice and the United States prevailing. Clay Travis tweeting about this as well, and tweeting something that I didn't even realize. Apparently a Canadian team hasn't won the Stanley Cup since 1993. I'm not Johnny Hockey, so I will trust that that is correct, but I did not realize that. But, yeah, kind of a big deal for the U.S. to go up there. Canada is obviously known for hockey. The United States, not so much. So to go up there, get booed, and fight those motherfuckers and come out with a victory has a lot of people pumped up in the USA. I was getting text on Saturday night, guys saying, hey, did you see this? Did you see this? Unbelievable situation here. I don't know what we've got to do to like tamp things down a little bit between the United States and Canada, though. I'm not used to Canada and the U.S. being at odds like this. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Gene Rayburn, can we bring in the great Gene Rayburn of Match Game? Get his thoughts on this? Uh-oh. Well, now that's going to escalate it even further now. And I don't know how I feel about that. Gene Rayburn only came here to use a skinny microphone and kick somebody's ass. And it looks like he's done talking. Skinniest microphone ever. I guess Bob Barker was the other main skinny microphone guy of my youth, but I always think of Gene Rayburn first. But let's not escalate this. I don't have anything against the good people of Canada. Can't we all just get along? Let me bring in a man who's sitting in a NHL city in this country right now. I speak, of course, of the international streaming star who joins me from Nashville, Tennessee. He is, of course, Ronnie T-Shirts. And Ronnie, I'm not used to exhibition hockey games having this kind of international flavor that we've seen here. Emotions running high, man. What do you make of this situation? 3 fights in the first 9 seconds.
So my understanding is that first, I guess in a press conference after the game, I don't know who it was, so forgive me for that, but I guess it was planned. The guys had been texting each other that they were going to start the game off with a fight. So I don't know if you'd seen that or not. But I mean, the atmosphere was electric. It was, I mean, I don't normally watch hockey, but man, that looked like a lot of fun.
The Kachuk brothers just going out there with bad intentions, Ron. The Canadians, the Canucks got Kachuked on Saturday night is what happened. We went up there jonesing for a fight, and we gave them one, and we won the game, man. See, I've always said it doesn't matter if something's an exhibition or not if the people who are involved in it care about it. We're going to talk about the All-Star game a little bit later in this program and for the NBA and what a fucking joke it's become over the years. A lot of people are clowning on the reimagined NBA All-Star weekend and talking about how it sucks. Hey, listen, if people care, remember when Pete Rose ran over Ray Fosse in the 1970 Major League All-Star game at Riverfront Stadium? It was an exhibition, but if you give a shit, there shouldn't be any need to gimmick stuff up the way that we have seen things get gimmicked up in so many other sports. But I don't know, dude. It's exciting. How do we feel about Canada and the United States suddenly being, I mean, are we frenemies now? What's going on here? I love the Canadian people. I can't get on board with just double barrel giving the bird to the Canadian people. The government, yes, but the average Canadian man that I know is one of the nicest people that God ever put on this earth.
Yeah, man. You know, national pride's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because, you know, when everything went down during COVID with the truckers, you know, they had the truckers were basically occupying Ottawa and other places. And we were all for it. Like the United States was behind it. And it seems like the majority of the people in Canada, from what I'm seeing, they want to move away from Trudeau and they want to move to something more like, you know, more conservative in their country. So any problems that I feel like Americans have is with the Canadian government. It's not with Canadian people, but they've just kind of, I don't know. It just, national pride is interesting. And it's like, even if you know that those people are kind of on your side, when it comes down, it's like, oh, it's Canada versus US. We're going to boo your national anthem. And I guess that's what they're doing right now.
That's the problem. Don't boo the national anthem. And I know that's not every fan that's doing it. I don't want to get into this fuck Canada and fuck everybody in Canada, right, because the world is more complicated than that, right? So there's some people that are upset and they're booing the anthem. Look, I mean, you boo the anthem, we'll smack the taste out of your mouth and beat you at hockey. How about that? That sounds like a good plan. That's what we saw happen. Ronnie, look, I want to go ahead and get into this second story, and I'll get your thoughts on it here in a little bit. CBS, the mainstream media, here we go, right? Ron, when you build, I think I just went through a second puberty there. When you build Peter Brady, it's when it's time to change, and you got to rearrange. with something like that. Ron, when you build somebody up to be Hitler, new Hitler, whatever the hyperbole is that you want to dial in on, and we've seen it happen so much in mainstream media throughout the Trump era, but it gained a lot of steam this year. We were going to keep comparing him to Hitler because they thought that was the thing that would fatally wound his campaign. And newsflash, it didn't. But 60, we'll get to 60 Minutes in a minute, but Margaret Brennan, I want to specifically call out Margaret Brennan. Margaret Brennan talking to Marco Rubio and discussing J.D. Vance's speech at the Munich Security Conference, where he went over there and he started detailing the deeply concerning erosion of free speech that is occurring in Germany and throughout European countries, the United Kingdom specifically being one that is deeply concerning to us, given our long history of allyship with that country. Margaret Brennan, incredibly enough, saying to Marco Rubio that the problem that allowed the Holocaust to take place in Nazi Germany was free speech. You can't make something this dumb up. Let's go to the tape.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship
I have to disagree with
was
you.
specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
Welcome to the state of your legacy media in 2025. I'm 53 years old. I've never heard anyone before this, even in passing, suggest that free speech contributed to the Holocaust. Margaret Brennan is either one of the stupidest people who has ever walked the earth or she's evil. You take a pick of which it is. I'm going to guess it's the former. How can you possibly go on national television and suggest that J.D. Vance's impassioned speech that Europe is going down a very dangerous path with the restriction of free speech, and we'll talk about it more in a few moments, to suggest that free speech is the reason that the Holocaust happened, or that free speech was weaponized by Hitler and the Nazis? Shame on you. Shame on you for going, I've never heard that before, ever in my life. Friend of this program, National Review's Charles C.W. Cook, tweeting some thoughts on this, saying that Margaret Brennan's lunacy on free speech is shared and devoutly believed by an enormous number of people in the press. And it's not just Margaret Brennan. I said is she the stupidest? Well, she's in a tie for being the stupidest, because there's a lot of other people that you're going to be hearing this kind of bullshit from as well. And Cook goes on to say, an even greater number of people believe this who teach your children in universities. There's no good way of parsing her words. If she believes it was true of the Nazi regime, she's historically illiterate. If she meant it was true prior to that regime coming to power, then she's ineluctably making a case for incumbent governments censoring their critics. It is amazing to me how many Americans are on board with governmental censorship of the people. People who are compromised mentally. Why on earth would you encourage the government to have increased authority and control over its people if you believe in the principles of democracy and freedom. Why on earth would you do this? How do the people react when you say that you're just going to take their phones from them? How does that work? How do the people react? Do they not like that? What the fuck is wrong with you, lady? You're supposed to be representing American ideals and values. You ought to be questioning these people. How can you live with yourselves being a part of a system that's so fucked up that you've taken away people's free speech? And you don't see a problem with this? There are far too many people in this country who wish to be censored. And you're not speaking for all of us. What is actually wrong with this country that people are so casually, posting something that's not true? Well, what does that mean? What if I post something that's funny? Remember when the Babylon Bee got suspended from Twitter? What about satire? I post comedy all the time. I post things that are literally not true from Super 70 Sports. That's what satire and parody is. You're saying things that aren't literally true to make a greater point or to make people laugh. Can you get arrested for that in Germany? Is that a possibility? What about when somebody reposts something? What if you repost something that somebody else posted? Now you are as guilty as they are. We're one step away from thought crimes. We're one step away from you being carted off to jail because you had a thought. What kind of Orwellian future is this? And for Americans to be embracing it? For CBS News to go on the air and suggest that J.D. Vance is saying something dangerous by trying to simply promote the sanctity of our First Amendment and caution other countries in the world against what they're doing and cautioning them of how destructive it is. But see, when you build someone up or you build their administration up to be the Nazis, to be the fascists, you have to get so contorted in your logic to support that you must find fault in everything that they do. And so Donald Trump, the supposed fascist Nazi, because he actually promotes free speech, which is one of the most sacrosanct American values that there has ever been, because it's coming from his administration, his vice president, they would rather try to find a way to tie it to Nazism, as strained and illogical as that is. It's disgusting. She's sitting there practically giggling with German prosecutors over the erosion of the rights of the German people. And it's people like Margaret Brennan, outlets like 60 Minutes, that would take away your and my rights to our free speech. And the work here is far from done. As Charles C.W. Cook says, I come from the world of academia. I know that world is 90% populated with lefties. It just is. So your kids go off to college and they get indoctrinated in everything that's wrong with America. I went through that same indoctrination, and it's probably part of the reason that I came out the way that I was for a long time in my life. It's very subtle, but it's happening all across this country. So be aware, my friends, be aware. Elon Musk is telling people to be aware that 60 Minutes is full of shit. In a piece about USAID, 60 Minutes going on, quoting Christina Dry, who was fired in the shutdown. She said, 12 days ago, people knew where their next paycheck was coming from. They knew how they were going to pay for their kids' daycare, their medical bills, and then it's all gone overnight. Elon responding, and this was community noted over on X, Elon saying all employees were offered 8 months of pay and benefits. Imagine what a media that wants you to believe that free speech was the real thing that the Nazis weaponized to cause the Holocaust. Ask yourself if you can believe anything else that they tell you after that. if Margaret Brennan is gonna bald-faced lie and try to rewrite the history of World War II and the greatest mass murder of people that we've seen in modern times, that casually, ask yourself if you believe the rest of the small stuff. Because once they lie about something like that, where is the credibility that they have? Ronnie, can you believe this shit?
Oh
Can you
man,
believe this shit?
so the free
Unreal
speech
to me, man.
So the free speech comment that she made, isn't that like saying that paved roads are the reason that there are mass shootings at schools and malls? Like if you were, well, it's paved roads are the problem. Like if we pave roads were weaponized to commit all these heinous mass shootings.
It was an authoritarian government, Ron, as Rubio pointed out. This is an authoritarian regime that decided that they were going to try to eliminate Jews from the planet. All right, predominantly. Others obviously face the brunt of it as well. To say that free speech had anything to do with that, to turn us as Americans, what is more anti-American than trying to turn Americans against the free speech rights that they have? If you want to live in an authoritarian government, take away the right of the people to speak, and you're there. And we have a mainstream media that's fucking cheerleading it.
Yeah.
And we have it going on throughout our institutions of higher learning around this country as well. You cannot reset a culture in one election. You can't reset a culture in one administration. There's a lot of work to do because there are enemies of American values and enemies of democracy within our country. They've been radicalized, and most of them don't even understand that they've been radicalized. They actually believe these things that are inherently anti-American, Ron.
Do you think they really believe it, or do you think that their Trump derangement syndrome is just so strong that they can't help themselves, that this is just a product of that? If we had somebody else in the office that was a Republican, do you think they would be going as hard as they are going right now? Or do you think it's because it's Trump and they just hate Trump?
There's a combination. I mean, Trump derangement is certainly a part of it because there are people who are so against Trump, or they're against the caricature that they've created in their minds of what they believe Trump is, that they just cannot see anything clearly. And people have said it before. If Trump came out tomorrow and said, I've cured cancer,
right,
look at this, it's all peer reviewed, there would be people who would flip that around and they would have you think that cancer is the best thing in the world. And how could Donald Trump possibly do this? I'll be interested to see how they react to pharma ads. The idea here of, I think RFK, at least we're hearing talk about it, that RFK wants to shut down pharma ads. And as we've talked about, Ron, the United States and New Zealand are the only countries in the world that allow this pharmaceutical drug pushing that goes on so casually in our society now, to where we have seen so many of these commercials through the years that now it seems sort of normal to us. And it's not normal. It's not normal to have commercials where they spend 45 seconds rattling through side effects so quickly that you can't even keep up with all of the side effects that there are, while fat people dance around and, tell you that whatever it is, hey, I'm not talking about you. All right. Ron, Draymond Green says the NBA is boring. All right, Draymond, you got my attention. Let's listen.
I agree, Draymond.
It's not smart basketball no more. I saw a clip not too long ago where Kobe said, it's accidental basketball. He couldn't have been more right. It was so refreshing to play against Bron because every possession is like a chess match. But you don't just get that on a regular basis. It's just who can run faster, who can hit more threes. It's no substance. And so I think it's very boring.
All right, well, he's saying what we've said and what many others have said. You got a three-point contest every night. You don't need that. I remember when the three-point contest, it was a big deal because, hey, we're having a 3-point contest. The 3-point contest, you can get more 3-pointers any night of the week just by watching a game. And I'll tell you something else that's fucked up, Ron. The slam dunk contest. Listen, this is going to be a segment where I say nothing nice about the NBA at all. The regular season actual game product sucks. The slam dunk contest sucks. Mac McClung is now a 3-time dunk champion. This motherfucker's played 5 games in the NBA in his life. What are we doing? Maybe the one good thing to come out of it is he has inspired a couple of legitimate all-stars to be interested in going into the dunk contest. You can see there, Ja Morant and Giannis saying, well, if you're willing to do it, I'll do it. We'll see if that comes to pass. But look, I grew up on the real shit, Ron. I grew up on the real shit. The actual slam dunk contest, the real slam dunk contest. When it was Dr. J and when it was Michael Jordan and Clyde Drexler and Dominique Wilkins, and we haven't even gotten yet to the guy that they actually called Dr. Duncanstein. Oh yeah, he was in it too. And guess what? I still haven't even named the guy who won it yet. That was Larry Nance, Sr. And then you've also got Orlando Woolridge and Terrence Stansberry there as well. Actual NBA players, many of them. You got, 4 Hall of Famers in that photo? Plus Dr. Duncanstein. Now it's like, hey, it'd be a cool idea if actual good players did it. Is it taking 40 years for it to circle back around to like the novel idea that's original again? Is what if we had actual stars in the dunk contest rather than gimmicked up guys like, look, I mean, McClung is unreal. Don't get me wrong. His dunking ability in that environment is off the charts. It's incredible. Truly, it's awesome. But I don't see it that much differently than I see the guys jumping on trampolines at halftime. If I want to see some guy who's played 5 games in the NBA hop around and do gymnastics, we can do that, but I'd much rather see actual NBA players competing. Here's a couple of NBA players for you, Ron. See if you can recognize these guys. When 7'3", and that's here we go. 7'3", there's Wemby. Wemby meets Muggsy. Ron, 5'3", Tyrone Bogues. Hanging out with Wemby there. It's not the first time that Muggsy has been around people who were substantially larger than him. Look at this one. One of these guys played 15 years in the NBA, and the other one is Yao Ming. And you can see Muggsy replying there, respect the drip, heart over height. I believe that they look like they both just got back from Men's Warehouse there with the jackets that they had on. Ron, I don't know. You got any thoughts on the sorry state of the NBA and All-Star Weekend? This mini tournament that we had, play into 40, and it's Team Shaq and Team Chuck, and we had Team Candace with the G Leaguers and rookies and second-year players. What have we done? What happened to the All-Star Weekend that you and Al Jarreau were in Chicago to
right?
1988. Rod?
Yep.
Yeah. What happened to that? That was good shit back then.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'll be honest. I didn't watch a single live second of any NBA All-Star festivities. I didn't watch a single second of the NFL All-Pro dodgeball flag football festivities. I just don't find it interesting. I mean, I guess, I don't know. Does anybody find it interesting? Because, the kids are more YouTube they like YouTube and things like that. Like, I don't know, Ricky, do you know anybody that was got to stay home and watch this?
No, I mean, maybe I'm not the demographic anymore.
I guess.
I mean,
I
maybe
don't know.
that's the issue.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know anybody who's looking forward to NBA All-Star Weekend. I was looking forward to it when I was a kid. Maybe,
Yeah, I remember looking forward to it.
15-year-olds, yeah, maybe 15-year-olds still look forward to it, and it's just
Yeah.
not for us anymore. But to me, it's always better to keep things simple where you can, and to just see how hard they've had to search over and over and over again, trying to find some angle that they can come up with that's going to generate interest in this. And it's just gotten weirder and weirder and further off track. And it's just desperately needs a facelift.
Don't you think that
But you can't,
that one?
the simplest thing can't be done though, Ron. The simplest thing is just the players care enough to at least sort of, kind of play defense and take the game seriously. They've demonstrated again and again and again and again they cannot do that.
That's what I was about to say, Ricky, is we live in a time now, and we've lived in this time for a long time, where professional athletes make so much money. There's not really an amount of money that you can dangle out there for like an incentive. They're like, all right, if you win the All-Star game, we're going to put an extra $100,000 in your pocket. Man, $100,000 is nothing to these guys. I mean, what's the amount of money that you'd have to say, you win this game, you'll get this much? I mean, is it 500,000? Is it $1 million?
Look, it should just be nobody's asking you to play as hard in the All-Star game as you play in the regular season. But put a fucking hand up. Move over and at least get in somebody's way a little.
Play some help D. Play a little help D.
Play a little help D. I mean, you and I could go down to the YMCA with our decrepit 50-year-old man bodies for free, and we would give a better effort than what we've seen in the All-Star game. Ron, look, we're always about giving effort on this program. I think everyone knows that, and there's no better place to see the evidence of the effort that we give than America's Poll of the Day. And let's go to it now. At Super 70 Sports on X, where the Eagle just came flying by and is about ready to drop some good stuff on us, and let's go ahead and get into what that good stuff is. Ron, today we have 4 options, and the first is the NFL Draft, which is certainly a lot more of a spectacle than it used to be, that's for sure. Stone Temple Pilots is the next choice. Sometimes they get a little bit overlooked, I think, when we go back and we think on the alternative bands of the 1990s, but I was always a Stone Temple Pilots guy. Third, we have Chili's. I want my baby back ribs. And then lastly, Lazy Rivers. So these are 4 things that I give a thumbs up to all 4 of these things personally. Break it down for me, Ron, as only you can.
All right, we're gonna go backwards. Lazy Rivers, yep, love Lazy Rivers, very relaxing. Chili's, Ricky, I don't even know the last time I was at a Chili's. I mean, it's got to be over 10 years. I remember when Tyler and I used to traipse around the country, or going to lacrosse camps and tournaments. Every once in a while, we'd stop in a Chili's, and it was always good. But I do not consume that. So Stone Temple Pilots, yep, like them. NFL Draft, I love the NFL Draft, Ricky. Like, I look forward to the NFL Draft every single year, especially the first round. Love hearing the stories about some of these guys. Love seeing where they're going to go. I actually was lucky enough to, was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the NFL Draft was in Nashville, and it was a scene. It was a scene. It was a lot of fun. So I will vote for NFL Draft, and I believe the NFL Draft will also be the choice of your followers.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I was at Chili's just 2 nights ago, Ron, so my Chili's memories are much more recent than yours. It's it's always been good shit going back to when I was in college and going there a lot back in those days. I don't go as frequently now, but I do enjoy Chili's. Lazy Rivers are great as far as I'm concerned. My favorite Lazy River I've ever done was on the roof of the Marriott Hotel in downtown Houston. They've got one that is the shape of the state of Texas. I believe we've discussed it before, Ron. And it just runs around the roof there. You can just look down on the street. They've kind of got this plexiglass wall at one place where you have a nice little view. So that's pretty cool. Stone Temple Pilots Look Plush is a great song. Creep is a great song. They had a lot of good stuff back in the days. So I do want to give them recognition. The NFL draft, look, I can hold in there for a round, bro. Once we're past the first round, really once we're past about the first top 25 picks, first, maybe the entire first round. After that, I can just check websites from there. I'm not like hanging on to like who's going to go 48th in the draft. So I'm going to vote for the Stone Temple Pilots here. How about that? So Tim is off. The great Nick Sia is with us today, and Jared stepping into the pilot's chair. Jared, light that candle. Let's see what we're dealing with here today with this public. I think this one could be competitive. And reasonably competitive.
Yeah, other than Chili's.
You are correct. You are correct, Ron, that the NFL draft is going to prevail on this Monday. Stone Temple Pilots, a solid second place. Lazy Rivers, again, very respectable. And Chili's. More people apparently agreeing with you on the fine dining of Chili's than myself. I just know what I like, Ron, and I had some boneless wings on Saturday night with my daughter.
So you had nuggets? You had nuggets in buffalo sauce?
You could.
They're not boneless wings.
Say
no
that
such thing. No such thing as boneless wings.
Well, that's what it said on the menu, Ron.
Yeah, nuggets.
That was how I was supposed to order it. So
nuggets
that they would
with wing
me.
sauce on them.